I'm here today with Gerard Evans from Access PaySuite. Gerard is here to talk about cash flow certainty in uncertain times. Say hello, Gerard.
Hello.
So let's get started.
But for those that aren't using direct debits and are considering it, these are some of the benefits that you're going to receive in terms of, greater internal efficiency, productivity, and dependency on staff. But more importantly, being able to manage that cash flow effectively. So I suppose this really is a little bit of a kind of direct debit 101. So the what, the how, and the why. So everybody on this call will have a direct debit set up, I'm sure, for one reason or another. Whether it be paying your bills, like your gas and electric, the dreaded gas and electric at the minute that everybody's paying, or whether you're, using a subscription service like Netflix or something like that. Don't get me wrong as well. I know that some of you are probably collecting direct debits from your customers already, but I'll share some insight into, how we can either improve your process or in turn save you money in terms of what you're doing at the minute. So the what, I see.
Sorry, Gerard, just a real quick one. Benjamin's just asked about, and I'm sure you probably come on to it, but you've mentioned Xero already, but Benjamin's asked if you have got any future integration with Quickbooks Online.
Potentially, yeah. So we have a roadmap for integration partners. I wouldn't be able to give you a timescale on that. But there are other ways that the payments can still be automated, and our system can actually, in the interim, if it was something that you were considering, it can still spit out files for reconciliation and things like that into the system as well.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you.
But it's not currently there right this minute. So the what then? A direct debit is effectively an agreement that gives a company permission to take money from your bank account on a date agreed with you. This can be for an indefinite period of time. So this is something that we would call a rolling direct debit. It can be for a fixed amount of time, which is, you might, good example of this for you guys is you probably prepare accounts and financials for a company, and you may collect a monthly payment from that company to then produce their accounts at the end of the year. That's probably one of the most common examples from my accountancy clients anyway. But you can also collect varying amounts on a variety of days through an ad hoc direct debit as well. So this could be if any additional work was done for a client, and this can be done quite easily within the system as well. The how. So with our direct debit system, there's a number of different ways that you can set up your customers on direct debit, and this can be to suit both, yourself, your business, but also, the variation of clients that you're probably going to have. So this can be done either over the telephone and inputting the information into our portal. It can be with, a physical paper instruction, a paper instruction mandate. It can be done via we can actually create a branded electronic direct debit sign up page for you, where your customer can go in and put their details in, and that will automatically filter through into the system and set that direct debit up. Or if you're meeting your customers face to face, we can also provide you with an iOS and Android app that can be used on tablet or smartphone, which effectively produces a mandate. Again, that filters the information directly into your online portal as well. Or for the Xero users out there, you can simply send an invoice to a customer with a link on there to set up their direct debit, and they can go through the steps that way. What we will do is we'll give you access to our online cloud-based portal, as I did mention, that you can put the information into, where you've got access to our full reporting suite as well. So, this enables you to do things like reconcile your payments with ease. But our system also gives you some insight of failed payments as well. So as well as the reporting, it will actually generate an email notification to you to advise you if any payments have failed or failed to be collected. And the why, I think the obvious ones here is, why would you use direct debits? I mean, I think it's easy for me to say here, but it does give you full control over your customers' payments. if I was a good example, versus a standing order, for example, or relying on your customers to make backs or chaps payments to you, you're not relying on that. And with a standing order, you're not reliant on your customer. Maybe if you change your price, you're not reliant on the customer actually having to go in and amend their standing order with you. If you had a price increase or something like that, our system enables you to do that, make changes both on an individual basis and en masse as well. But more importantly, I think the real two key areas for any business and why they would implement a direct debit system is you're not spending valuable time, admin time, chasing payments. And it does give you a lot more certainty around your cash flow. Now, for the hello again, Mark.
Sorry, just I've got a couple. Just wanted to get.
Yeah, fine.
Does it work in the US from Sandy?
Not currently, no.
Right.
We are launching our European SEPA payments, but not currently. It will work in the US, but we can't collect direct debits in the US.
Fine, okay. And I'm sure you're going to be covering this, but we've had a few questions around the differences between this and Go Cardless.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be useful if there are anything on there.
Yeah.
Because I know you're probably going to go on to that bit, but assuming that they are covered by the same everyone's covered by the same regulations with DDs in terms of the clawback and stuff, I assume that's all exactly the same as.
Yeah. So first question, us against Go Cardless. Yeah, I will come on to this. And actually, my next point is why Access PaySuite. So you may be familiar. You may be familiar with other companies like Go Cardless. We're not the only person out in the market.
Chaser's also got a mention as well on
Chaser. Yeah, I think Chaser's a newer system. I think they utilize Go Cardless, but we're in talks for an integration there potentially. Okay. But the main differences between ourselves and Go Cardless, one being the price. So we charge a fixed transaction fee per direct debit, whereas Go Cardless charge a percentage model, so they charge a 1% plus 20 pence in the majority of cases. So with a variety of payment amounts, if the payments tend to be of a higher value, then you're going to see some bottom line savings there. Also our support, Go Cardless is a very heavily online ticketed based system. We offer support packages where you have the ability to actually speak to a real person if you are having issues or you need help with anything. And I would say they're the two main key differences. And what was the third?
It was just about the DD clawbacks and.
Oh yeah, so we're FCA regulated. We're governed by BACS. We're a BACS approved bureau as well. So BACS is the governing body for direct debits. So customers are protected by the direct debit guarantee. And we essentially, if we're processing direct debits on your behalf as a business, as a bureau service, we are kind of in essence, taking on the risk for those, any indemnity claims and unpaid transactions. So this is where we do our due diligence in the beginning when setting up a facility for you.
Brilliant, thank you. I'll go back and disappear.
And I'll come on to I'll come on to the pricing at the end, and then obviously if it looks of interest or you want to have perform like a bit of a cost saving exercise or something like that, we can do that. But fundamentally, direct debits are direct debits, but we can offer some bottom line savings, and we've got some, the software and the reporting tools that we offer are, top within the market. So just touching on our integration with Xero. So we have a full integration with Xero. Some of you may be using it, some may not, but essentially how this works is it kind of takes away any real touch points of our online portal, because everything can be managed from within Xero. So what you can do, you can set up your customers on recurring invoices, and say, for example, I'll go back to that example again of accounts preparation work that you might do for a customer. You may bill them £200 a month, just for argument's sake. You can set that up as a recurring invoice, so that the invoice will be generated on, say, the first of the month, and automatically those payments will be collected by direct debit every month. And then once they're paid or unpaid, that will be reconciled back into Xero as well. What you can do to set that customer up in the first instance is you can actually send them the invoice with the link to pay by direct debit, and that will produce a mandate for them to input their information, and then that will collect the payment on the said collection day for that customer. And as I say, yeah, it's a full 360 process. So generates the payment collection, the invoice, sends it to our system, collects that for you, and then reconciles it back as paid or unpaid within Xero as well. And I've got just a very kind of quick promotional video for our integration with Xero that I can play now for you. So yeah, that gives you a little bit of a kind of jazzy overview of how the integration with Xero works. Just going back to one of Mark's questions, actually, on the difference between Go Cardless and ourselves as well. One main difference is that we actually don't debit our fees from your dispersals. So we will bill you on a monthly basis for the transactions that were processed in that previous month, rather than taking it out of the dispersals that we sent to you as per every collection, because obviously that just causes, you know, some really big reconciliation headaches. So we can now go into a quick, how are we for time, Mark? We okay? Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. We got probably another 15 minutes, then we can do some questions. I've got a few.
Perfect. So what I'll do, we'll jump into a very quick whistle-stop tour product demo of DDCMS, which is our online portal. I'll just very quickly show you how you can set up a direct debit in there, how you can, you know, make any amendments to a customer's direct debit, and then just touch on the reports there as well. There is some other features in there, but I think, you know, just in the essence of time, we should be able to cover off the main points in there. So if I just log into my system, so DDCMS is a fully cloud-based portal. You can have numerous users in the system. There's no restrictions on this. And as you can see, once I log in, it takes me to the home screen, which is the contracts tab. So firstly, what I'll do is show you how you can set up a direct debit. So this is done within the schedules tab. So schedules is another name for direct debits. Just bear in mind, I am in a demo account. So there's a lot of different kind of schedules and things like that in here. So you can see I've got my schedule choices. So the three main types of direct debit that I discussed earlier. So the ad hoc, where you collect in payments, you know, with no set schedule, maybe varying amounts as well. That gives you the ability to upload those payments as and when. You've got a fixed direct debit, which may be, you know, probably in the instances where you're collecting 12 equal monthly payments from a customer for accounts prep or something like that. And also a rolling direct debit, which is where you set up a direct debit for a set amount on a set day, but for an indefinite period of time. So just for the purpose of the demo, we'll go with the rolling one. And then all I need to do is click up, set the customer up on direct debit, where essentially what it will then do is bring me up with a electronic paper mandate. So whether you're taking information over the phone or whether you are using a paper, getting the customer to sign a paper mandate, you can input the information in here for you. So you have a reference field up at the top, which can be your own unique identifier for that customer. We've got the type of schedule, and then you've got some options here for the payment information. So you can have numerous payment collection dates set up. It's up to you how frequently you want to collect your payments, but you can set up numerous and you have a drop down for each there. You can also create the first collection amount to be different to any ongoing amount. So for example, I might take a payment of £150 to begin with, but then an ongoing payment amount of £200 just for argument's sake. Then all we need to do is input the information here. So the company name, first name or last name, and the only option here as well that would be mandatory as well as the name is email. So what our system will do, there's certain BACS notifications that need to be sent for regulatory purposes, such as advance notices. So when you first set up a direct debit with a customer, it will send them a email notification advising and confirming that direct debit's been set up, and that gives them a period of time to object to any direct debit within that advance notice period as well. So email will be mandatory if you want that to be set up, so that email notifications go up. So it takes the hassle away from you essentially. You also have an additional reference field there, and then you've got you can input the account holder name, number, and sort code. All you need to do is tick the box there to approve that direct debit. When the bank details are put into the system, what our system will do is actually perform something called a modulus check. So it will confirm that the bank account number and sort code are live and up to date and active, therefore giving you any error there and then if any information was inputted incorrectly. And that's how you set up the direct debit. So I'll show you, once that direct debit's set up, I'll show you how you can go in and amend or manage that. So this is all done through the. Hi, Mark.
Sorry, just Benjamin asked earlier on. I thought this is poignant time. Do you offer direct debt collection for services to partnerships?
Yes, we do. Excellent. Yeah. So there's just different pieces, maybe slightly different pieces of information that we'd need. The standard stuff that to get an account set up.
Brilliant. And Roy has asked, what's the maximum amount you can collect by direct debit?
So the maximum amount is £5,000 per month. However, that does, depending on the amount, and this is a discussion that we could probably have on an individual basis, the higher the amounts, generally, if the average transaction value is over £400, say, then the cost of the direct debit transaction will be slightly more expensive.
Okay.
But again, we can discuss this on a case-by-case basis. I've got some details on the pricing as well afterwards.
Perfect. So Roy can have a conversation about that after.
Yeah, by all means, reach out and we can discuss that.
Thank you.
The direct debits, customers really, contracts is another name for customers. So if I come into the contracts tab, you can see you've got a number of different ways that you can search and filter down on a customer. Quite a nice feature here is if you do have price increases or change in direct debits amounts, you can update en masse as well. But just for the purpose of the demo, I'll just quickly run a search for a customer in the system. So you can see I've got a list of customers here. I'll click on my customer Joe, and if I come onto the customer, you can see his profile. So I've got like references, direct debits information. We've got the personal information here, contact details, bank account information, address. All of this can be amended at any point. So if a customer called you and said, I need to change my bank details or something like that, you can come in quite easily, make amendments and save that, and that will automatically update the system for you. Just bear in mind when making any amendments to a customer's bank details or anything like that, it needs to be done within a certain period before the next collection is due. So just to make some amendments, if I come onto the contracts tab, you can see that I've got the direct debit contract just below here. And there's no patches there currently on this direct debit. So a patch is if you want to make an amendment to the direct debit itself. So if I click on the patch and add a new patch, there's a couple of different options that you can see here. So you can change the amount on an individual basis. You can freeze a collection. Maybe if a customer's paid you, do this within certain timescales. You can see the calendars below. My internet's just. Are you still there?
Yeah, we got you. It just froze momentarily, but we managed. I think I got what you were saying. So
Okay, perfect. So yeah, you can change the amounts. You can freeze collection. You can terminate the contract. If a customer's leaving you or something like that, or you can skip the collection. Maybe if you're not doing work for that particular customer that month, and you can do it within certain time scales or for an indefinite period of time. So it gives you the flexibility to make any changes to that direct debit that you need to. You've got your payment history and things like that you can view. You've got a note section with memos. So if you make any amendments to bank details, as well as there being an audit trail in the background of the system, you can make any kind of physical amendments to that as well. And the system communications are things like our system generates, like the advance notices. Also, if you have customers that you've got set up on a rolling schedule, so maybe you collect £100 from them on the 1st of every month, our system can actually generate email reminders to them to tell them the direct debit's going to be collected in advance of the collection as well. But just to give you an example of some of the information that's stored in there, this is kind of an example of the advance notice with a direct debit guarantee and that in there as well. The users can be fully customized by yourself. So there's 2 different types of users. You've got a client user, which is a low-level user. They can make amendments to bank details or a customer's direct debit. They can't change the payment schedule dates, and they can't also view the reports tab as well. Whereas a client admin user will be able to do everything within the system, including amend users as well. And just touch on the reports tab. So the great thing about the system as well is it gives you a number of different reports that you can hone in on, really. So you've got everything from a transaction summary report, just for argument's sake. So I've got a number of different fields here, as you can see, but if I wanted to look for, I can look at all of the unpaid direct debits within a certain time period, all of the unpaids, paids, various different fields here. If I just run a very quick search for you, so if I go back, let's see all of my direct debits that were collected in the month of August, and then run that search. And very quickly it comes up with the results. So you can see I've got like a list view here. But if I scroll down to the bottom, you've got kind of a summary. So you can see I collected 166 direct debits, £4,000 were collected, and you can see all of them were actually paid. But if you need to, you can download these reports in CSV or PDF as well as quite a nice report with cancellations and rejections here. If you run a report for any cancelled or rejected direct debits, it will actually give you a reason code as well. So such as insufficient funds, or if the customer's cancelled the direct debit, you get full visibility of the actual reason for that failure. And quite a nice report as well is future payments due. So going back to the point of forecasting cash flow and seeing what payments you've got due in the next period of time, month, week, you can come in and run a report from a set period of time and see exactly what payments you've got coming in to help predict that cash flow moving forward as well. And also within the system, you can see up at the top for any users, bear in mind we give you full training on it and handhold you through that process, but you do have some like popular how-to quick guides in here. So if you're ever using the system and you just forgot how to do something such as amend a customer's details, you can come in and it will give you full a quick overview on how to do that. And obviously you've got full knowledge base as well as you can speak to our support team. And I think that's kind of about it from me. I mean, if any questions have popped up about any parts of the system that anyone might want to see, then by all means, let me know.
The most popular one at the moment, I think we've got 3 or 4 of it, is about the moving over from an existing supplier. Most of the questions have been about go cardless.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, this week the topic in one of our mastermind groups came up of the software about moving over.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's prudent to mention it now, but somebody asked about notice and things like that. Now, I understand from Go Cardless, and my own understanding is that most people would be able to move over fairly quickly, but if they're on the top package with Go Cardless, they're actually signed into a contract, so they can't move straight away.
Yeah, potentially. I think from my experience in the terms, there is generally it's a rolling monthly term. So that's something that you could find out quite easily for them. So just to give you, and I'll touch on the points that you said about switching, but just to give you an idea on how it works and some of the costings. So it's a really quick and easy process to set up. It normally takes about 5 days from receiving the information that we need to actually get the account set up and in place. Standard things that we'll need, being FCA regulated, copy of a bank statement to prove the business address and the account information. We do an identity verification from any UBOs, ultimate beneficiaries of the business, so anyone that owns over 25%. Normally what we do is we send you a text message to your mobile. Some of you may do this with clients and things like that, but essentially what you do, you take photo of ID and a selfie basically, and that verifies you as an individual. And it's really easy to get set up. Now, switching to us from another provider such as Go Cardless, it's a longer process, but the process is quick and easy, and it's managed completely by us. So we actually perform something called a bulk change. Now, why this is so important is the benefits of this is your customers don't have to do anything, so you don't need to go out and set up all of your customers with new direct debit instructions to switch across to us. What happens is we actually perform a regulatory change of the payee information. So you would say to Go Cardless, you would request bulk change forms, provide them to us, we complete them with you, and then what happens is we agree a date of change to switch those payees over it's normally about 4 to 6 weeks. Now, in that 4 to 6 week period, you still collect payments as normal. There's no disruption to your collections, and then we just agree a date of change to switch all the payees across. We provide the training, and all of that information gets sent to us through the banks. So it's a regulatory process. And this is just to give you a little bit of idea on the costs. So costs for businesses collecting under 250 direct debits per month, there's a 50 pence per direct debit transaction cost. We charge a monthly management fee for the software that we provide, which is £40. And then just below that, you can see the cost for over 250 direct debit bandings thereafter.
Just broke up then. Sorry, Gerard. Can you just repeat what you just said then?
So with the over 250 direct debits, it starts at 35 pence per direct debit, and then obviously if you increase the volumes, it goes down in the bandings, and then there's just that £40 per month management fee on top of that. Now, with regards to larger collections, if the average is over £400, to be honest, the majority of accountants and practices that I speak to, it's not. There may be some, and that's fine. But if the average is under 400, then any of these models apply. If not, then there's a slight premium on the transaction cost. However, we're still substantially cheaper than Go Cardless because 1%. I know it's capped at £4. Our top level for high value transactions is £3 per direct debit. I had a really great example, probably the best one from a cost saving perspective, and just to paint the picture here. Is I had an accountancy practice that came on board with us in May. They were processing roughly 450 direct debits per month. They were using Go Cardless. They've been using them for a long period of time. I performed a cost saving exercise, just gave him a like for like comparison on what we would offer, and we saved them over £8,000 for that year, just on the direct debit payments themselves. So that just paints a little bit of a picture in terms of the savings that could be available to you.
So would that be the sort of starting process? Is that what you would suggest people get in touch with you to do?
What I would do is get in touch. We'll have a conversation, just a quick exploratory chat about how many direct debits you're collecting, the current process, and then I can give you an insight as to exactly how we can help and what the cost would be for you for that. But yeah, it's just good to understand the direct debits that are being collected, the amounts, and that kind of thing as well.
Great, thank you.
And that's kind of about it from me. So you're probably sick of the sound of my voice by now, but I think that covered exactly 45 minutes, Mark.
Yeah, it did. We have answered all of the questions I have so far. So if anybody does have any questions, obviously feel free to post them in the Q&A. Yeah, I've just posted the contact details for Gerard. So if anybody wants to get in touch, you can copy and paste it from the chat as opposed to typing it from the information there. Yeah, no, I have answered everything. Is there anything else you wanted to cover in the last few minutes?
Not from me really, no. I mean, by all means reach out. My number's there. Send me an email or give me a call, and then we can have a discussion about, the current processes, what you're doing, and then I can give you an idea on, how we can help. Also, like I mentioned, we don't just provide direct debit. So if you are sending mass payments out, we do actually offer a direct credit facility as well. As well as later down the line this year, we are going to, so November time, I believe, we're going to be launching our card payment functionality, which is all going to be inbuilt within the portal system that you've seen as well as European direct debits if you've got any clients over in that area.
Great. So that would integrate with your Go Cardless in the same way. So you just change the layout and send
not Go Cardless, Mark.
Okay. Sorry, Xero. Sorry. That's a fraudulent slip and a half, isn't it? Sorry.
I believe so. Yeah. So there's work. The wheels are in motion for that to take place, and it'll all be linked into the one system as well. So you're not having separate systems for your payment needs. Excellent.
And just to recap on the QuickBooks, it's something you're looking at, but so are you able to just give a rough idea on sort of what it looks like at the moment, so that they?
I'm not quite. I'm being honest with you. I know it's on the list kind of as a potential integration partner, but with these things, it can take a bit of time. So I couldn't really give you a timescale on it. However, you can still process direct debits with us whilst using QuickBooks. This can be done by, if you've automated them to be set on said collection dates and then view the reports. If there's the saving available to you for that one small step, it's negligible really. But also, if you can create payments through a file upload. You can upload a CSV into our system, and it can collect those direct debits on the said dates as well.
Okay, and would that be a recurring, something they have to do recurring, or did they change it?
So it depends how the direct debits are set up. So if you've got them set to collect on a set day, you don't actually have to do anything. You can just view a report on a monthly basis or whenever the payments were collected, and we can actually spit a file to go back into the accounting system as well. Or if you are doing it for a file upload, then you would just do that 3 or 4 days before any collection that was due. But to be honest, the majority of DDs will be set to collect on, say, the first of the month anyway. So there's not really any manual intervention there.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, we haven't had any more questions, so I presume that means you've done a great job and answered everything that needed answering. If there is anything we've missed out, obviously the contact details are in the chat box. Just copy and paste. And last thing is for me to say thank you very much for joining us, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching our video with Gerard Evans from Access PaySuite. I hope it's inspired, challenged and supported you to implement a new direct debit system, or even update yours to perhaps maybe save some money on your current spend. If you'd like to hear any more information, please comment in the section below or like our video. And if you want to hear more from us and some of our partners within the community, please click on the subscribe button now. You should see below somewhere some recordings that we suggest that you watch next to help inspire and challenge, support you to be the best accountancy practice you can be.